a drink. Yeah.
What would your average daily consumption consist of? Towards the end?
It depends. Again, I mean, I had to moderate it. I mean, it was a constant battle with my job, my profession. It'd be a constant battle with trying to make sure that it didn't interfere with work. I mean, I had there was this the alcohol was important, but my job was important. And it was this juggling act all the time, trying to see when would be the most appropriate time to let my desire take effect.
Yeah.
So it would vary. I mean, if I didn't have to go to work and I had nothing pressing, I didn't have to drive hundreds of miles to go anywhere or do anything. It was to feel better. So there was never any rush to down 6 pints. There wasn't like a cut off. All right, okay. So as soon as I knock in 3 pints back, I'll be all right. It wasn't like that. It was all right. I'll have nice to have a drink now. It's 11:30 in the morning. Well, it's almost dinner time. Nice to have a. Again, it was like I never had 1 pint of lager, but I would say, "Oh, it'd be nice to have a pint. Nice to have a pint now." Never a pint. I never drunk a pint in my life. Or a glass of wine. Oh, it'd be nice to have a glass of wine. I've never had a glass of wine. It'd be probably a bottle, 2, 3 bottles maybe. It's just this nonsense, this notion that you just have 1 or 2. No, then again, I mean I'm no different to a lot of people. You'd say, well, how much have you had to drink? And they'll say, well, I just had a couple. A couple is probably 5 or 6 or 2 bottles.
And what point would you stop drinking? Say after work, or you get home and open a bottle of wine. Would that 1 bottle, stop the craving, or would you need more? Or?
No, it fuels the craving. That's the ironic part about it. You've seen adverts on television. I mean, there was a Strongbow advert. I'm not allowed to say Strongbow, but you got 2 guys at the bar, and then they both got a pint each of cider. And then they take a sip of the cider, and the arrows, land into the bar, and they both sort of turn to each other and go, sort of. Well, that's a play. That's an advert playing on people's craving, because what's happening as soon as that drug hits the system, your body's registering that you're feeding your habit, and then you get an instant gratification because you're feeding your habit, and that advert capitalizes on that remarkably well. So once you've fed that desire, you think you're choosing to drink. What you're doing is your body's pushing you to feed your habit. So when you take that first drink, you're okay then. You're all right. But subconsciously, you're constantly thinking, is it enough to last? Have I got enough for tonight? Because sure as eggs, if somebody brings out, if you've got a bottle of wine, I'd be looking, thinking, trying to see what it is on the side. Is that 12 vol? Is it 8? Is it is it 13? And I'm subconsciously weighing up in my mind how long that's gonna, and especially if you drink it with me.
Yeah.
What size are your glasses compared to mine? All this stuff this computation is going on in your mind all the time. It's hard work being alcoholic. It is not easy. Because you're constantly looking for, is it enough? What is there? Will that last? Am I going to have to make a last minute dash to the off license? Or if the off license is shut, am I going to have to, go to the pub or something? Just to, because by the time, a couple of hours have gone by, I'm going to need it even more. So your first drink satisfies your initial craving, but it fuels the craving for more.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Did you have a local bar where you lived that you used to frequent?
I did for a while until I was barred.
Did you get bored?
Yeah, I did.
Did they like your custom initially?
Well, no different to anyone else. If you're spending money on alcohol, that's the business, isn't it? So
Yeah.
they don't mind really, but
For what reason would you get bored, Al?
I can remember the one pub that I used to frequent. It was up in Wolverhampton, and they were, I don't say it was like mafia, but there were people there. There was organisations within that had reputations, and there were a few of these guys in this bar. And I can remember being stood at the bar, and one of them nudged me. I didn't know who they were. They were just blokes at the bar. And I said something to one of them. And I didn't realise, I was told later, but one or two of the others made their way around behind me. So I was surrounded by this gang, basically. And I was ready. If this guy had made a move, I'd have plonked him straight away. Mm. But they were, there were 4 or 5 of them, so I'd have been taken out very swiftly. And what happened was, the woman working there, she was a landlady. She knew who they were. She realised I was 4 parts gone to the wind, and I would have come off worse. So she pulled me through into the bar and took me out into the lounge the other side. And luckily at that time there was nobody else in this other part. Mm. And she safeguarded me, and I was in there on my own, drinking, on my own. So
obviously the chaps in the other bar, they probably knew you was a bit worse for wear.
I was no threat to them. Had it kicked off, God knows how I would have ended up. I could have stabbed, I could have been dead really. But again, like I've said before, some of the scrapes that I got into, defy logic really. Yeah. That I came out alive.
I know when I've been out and had a few to drink, I've lost things before now. Did you lose things in bars and pubs? Did you lose things? Did you leave things?
I think the biggest thing I lost really was dignity and self-respect.
Did you leave many coats in the bar?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, actually, I did. I remember going back into one nightclub. I'd left a leather coat there, and I didn't have my ticket, and they weren't going to give me the ticket. So I jumped again, alcohol fuel. I jumped over the barrier, the table, and made my way in and took it. I could see it, and nobody was going to stop me having that jacket. Well, alcohol makes you feel. That's why they used to give it to sailors. In Nelson's days, people have a lot of courage in drink. It's what do they call it? Dutch courage. And so said that you don't have fear. Especially when you anaesthetize yourself to that extent. And I used to do some stupid jumping over bars and things. And there was I was in Greece, and there was a bar we went into, and they were all flags on the wall behind the optics and things in different countries. And I don't know why. I took offence to the fact that there was a Welsh flag there, and I didn't think they deserved it. So I jumped over the bar, pushed the guy out of the way, and took the flag. Shameful behaviour, stuff that you can laugh over it and things, and you say, just boisterousness. But no, it's not. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. It made me behave in ways that I'm not proud of. But whatever damage I did in my drinking, I've paid the penalties for it. Yeah. I lost, drank away self-respect, as I said, and respect of others, colleagues, friends, neighbours, you name it. So I've experienced it. I've lived a life there where I thought it made me windswept and interesting, and it didn't. It made me obnoxious, unpleasant, distasteful, and not a nice bloke. But I don't live like that anymore, and I haven't done for the past 17 years. So,
I've been told that you've had more phones than BT.
oh indeed.
Is it right you used to smash them a lot when you tried to call somebody and couldn't remember the number? And
Yeah. If I couldn't get my own way, you know, if people didn't say or do what I wanted them to do, you know, I'd flip.
You smashed many things in anger and frustration.
Yeah. I don't know how many times. I mean, I was like a whirlwind in a china shop. I was unstoppable, you know. But I would destroy my own place, you know. And then it'd be maybe a bender for days, and I'd wake up, and of course it'd be like you know, like a bull had been let loose.
Yeah.
You know, in a greenhouse. I mean, it'd be smashed. Everything would be smashed.
In the house.
In my home, you know, in my home. I mean, different places that I lived. You know, I would, and I'd come to, I think, my God, you know, again, what's going on?
Yeah. Because
I had a Jekyll and Hyde personality. It's very common, that is, for men and women, alcoholics. It doesn't affect everybody the same way.
And it got so bad that you ended up going to prison.
I did, and actually, whilst it was punishment, and rightly, I should have gone to prison before for doing more serious things, but because it was like third time lucky, some would say third time unlucky, but actually it was third time lucky. I was sent to prison for 6 months, although I pleaded guilty to the offence, which was assault, and I pleaded guilty. They cut it down to half, so effectively it was 3 months, and I didn't know that it was going to be that time. So I was in prison waiting for the court hearing, and I think I did 6 weeks waiting over Christmas and into New Year, into January. I was in prison, and then when I went to court, it literally meant I had 3 months, and I'd done 6 weeks, so it was only a couple of weeks then before I was let out. So, but that for me, that was my rehab. You know, that if I hadn't have gone to prison then, I wouldn't have found the 12-step recovery program, which saved my life, transformed my life. I wouldn't be alive today had I not gone. You know, to say it was punishment, I deserved to be punished, but again, God works in funny ways, I guess, because it was my rehab, and it saved my life. So I don't look upon that as a negative experience. I mean, it did.
The turning point.
It was.
Yeah.
You know, and probably the best time. Not the best time, but the best point of my life.
Yeah.
Because it began to change. It wasn't instant, as I said. It set me on a different path. It took a while before that compulsion. Admittedly, the compulsion went overnight, but it was quite a while. It was a good 9 months before that point came when that craving just went or was removed. However you want to look at it, I got my ideas. To me, it was removed. But you know, if I say, you know, God took my compulsion to drink away, you know, there's a lot of people that might watch this and think, you know, that's nonsense. But all I can say is I didn't do it, but it did go on that day. So something took it away. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But it was 9 months really after going to my first 12-step recovery meeting.
So what would you say, knowing what you know now? What would you say to anyone suffering in that way?
The first thing you've got to do is to be honest with yourself. You know, you've got to love yourself enough to be good to yourself, and accept that you're in a situation that's not right. You know, this is not the way to live like this. If you ignore it, if you deny it, and unfortunately denial is a huge part of this. Alcoholics are the last people that either face their situation or accept it. They're usually the last people. So, you have to do yourself a favour. Look at your circumstances. If things are going wrong, if you think you're heading further into this abyss of misery, then you've got to, first thing you've got to do is stop. There's plenty of help out there. You have to want it. You have to believe that it doesn't have to be like this anymore. And then looking, asking for help, and hopefully videos like this will encourage people that it doesn't have to carry on. It's painful. It is, and it causes too much disaster and distress in the world, and it's about time people realised. It's about time.
I've asked you before about if a loved one or a family member could stop somebody in the family from drinking.
No, that's not the way it's going to work.
They have to.
They have to want to do it themselves. Yeah, and people think that perhaps it's something that I've done. A loved one or a husband or a wife that will say, is it because of me? Is it something that I've done? My dad used to say it. Have I done something wrong? Should I have done something differently? Did I not give Alan enough attention, or did I give him less attention than his brothers? It's none of that. It's none of that. No, it's every individual has to see it within themselves and make a decision. They may not have control over stopping, or they may not have control over their cravings, but they have control over whether they make a decision to want to do something about it. Because I couldn't do it on my own, but with help I could. It happened, and I've seen it happen in many people that would not in a million. It just wouldn't have happened if they'd have tried to do it themselves. It's too powerful. You cannot do it on your own. For anyone who will stop drinking, if it's giving them trouble and they decide, right, oh, that's it, I've had enough, right? And people do it with smoking. And if people, I knew a woman, an elderly woman. She used to drink a lot. She had confided in me, and she said that she fell in a canal walking back from the pub one night, and she ended up in A&E. But just that episode alone, she knew that she was drinking too much, and she stopped, and she hasn't drunk since. Now, that's not comparable to my experience. So what I'm saying is, if people are having problems with drink, as I said, you may just be drinking too much, and it might be giving it's going to give you trouble. There's no question about that. It don't come free of trouble. It might give you that instant sense of euphoria, or it might dull that pain of life, but there's a price to pay. Now, and that's irrelevant whether you're alcoholic or not. It's going to make no difference. It's not going to. Nobody's going to abuse alcohol and it not give them a heap load of crap. They may not realise it, but it will, right? So, but the first thing to do is to try and decide if you can stop. If you don't want to stop, danger signs should start. But unless somebody wants to do something about it, unfortunately, as much as you love them, as much as you can see them heading, all you can do is plant the seed. You could, but there's another issue about enabling them to carry on and all sorts of stuff like that. Which again are topics within their own right.
Thank you, Alan. Great discussion today.